Good evening and bienvenue, my fond, fair friends, family, and subscribers. This is your humble narrator, Diomedes Rouge, here to bring you part 2 of What If Belle Was a Warden. Oh yes. Now, where we last left off, Belle has introduced himself to Lady Hestia, and has, well, made himself somewhat known. A few days have passed, and he's easily able to climb through the floors, earning a good bit of coin. A large bit of coin. From your standard mobs, and you might be wondering, why hasn't he progressed further? Well, for one, he's going through the first 5 floors, mainly for testing, seeing how these creatures hold up. The goblins, the slimes, the drakes. He wants to know how strong the grunts are, for the grunts will represent how strong the higher-ups will be. And the higher up they are, well, the more fun they will be. And the more entertaining his life will become. And so, he continues this practice, day in and day out, building a large foundation of money, as well as resources. It barely takes him 3 hours to complete it down to the 5th floor and come back out. And this surprises a good bit of people inside the guild. For this strange man in strange armor, wielding a strange sword, walks in, kills everything, and then walks out, as if nothing ever happened. And after that, he goes straight to Hestia, drops off the money, takes his share, and goes to bed, letting her do with the rest as she pleases. But on this day is different. For Belle plans to deviate from his previous cycle. Oh yes. He plans to keep going and going and going until something interesting catches his eyes. And so he does. The first floor, he has no issues. He comes across a few slimes, a wolf, and goblins. He kills the slimes and goblins, but the wolf he just knocks out and kicks along to the side, feeling bad for it. That is until it tries to attack him again, in which case he cuts its head off. He gave it a chance at least. But as he goes further and further on, 2nd floor, 3rd floor, 4th floor, 5th floor, 6th floor, he then sees something, or rather, senses something approaching him. As he turns to see what it is a minotaur, a fabled creature where he is from. The one with the body of a man, but with the horns and legs of a bull, wielding a great sword over its head, charging towards him. And Belle just smiles underneath his helm as he prepares his blade for a defensive counter. It swings down and he parries the blade, shoving it off to the side as he spins and hits the minotaur in the rib cage, knocking it off kilter. As he takes a step back, seeing how this beast recovers, And boy does it recover. It stands right back up as if nothing happened and charges him again. And Belle just smiles even wider. This is entertaining. It charges and tries to hack and slash, swinging its sword down randomly, and then Belle realizes it's just a mindless beast. It's not a challenger. It barely knows how to handle the blade. And so much disappointment. And with that, he decides to end things a bit quicker than people would expect. As the one beast comes down to swing his mighty sword over its head on Belle's chest. Well, he simply dodges and shoulder bashes it, stunning it, knocking it back, as Belle strikes it twice, quickly and precisely across its shoulders. One strike on each side, wham, wham, as the beast gets up and charges at him again, just to be met with a similar fate, to get sidestepped and then bashed, hit with another two quick simultaneous strikes, wham, wham. The minotaur is pissed, and it charges Belle, trying to strangle him, trying to grapple him, trying to use its overwhelming strength to its advantage and crush him. But Belle simply sidesteps, waits for it to get behind him, and smashes him with the shoulder. Bam! But this time, he brings a heavy blow down. And he follows his dad's old instruction. First use the first strike to test the resistance. Whoom! As he carves large gash through the back of the creature. And then use the second strike to finish them cleanly. As the beast recoils, turning around, as it raises its blade in defense, it does not matter. As with even more vigor than the first one, Belle swings around, using the momentum from the complete circle he's just made, and swings his blade down upon the creature, rending its guard, and then sundering its guard, and then rending its flesh in half. As it disappears, leaving behind jewels, as Belle quickly takes them and pockets them in his pouch. Disappointed, and now very, defiled by this thing's foul blood, he walks away to clean himself, as a group of adventurers come along and notice that the minotaur is not there. They saw that it ran towards the upper floors, but where could it have gone? And that's when they see a lone adventurer in strange black garb, black mail and plate, carrying his sword, open for all to see, as he just walks past them without stating a word. As Belle looks at this strange party, the one with wolf ears and tail grabs him. Hey, have you seen a minotaur around here? But before he could even finish his statement, he is thrown against the wall, and a blade is at his throat. Don't you dare lay your hands on me, cur. I care not for who you are, nor for what you are. But I do not know you, nor will I be touched by you. Do you understand me, or do I need to show you discipline? What did you say? As he begins to counter, Belle presses the tip of the blade into the man's neck. I said, do you need to... I said, do you need to be disciplined? Or will you obey? I'm not some beast. No, you're not. A beast would be willing to fight back. You're nothing but a mongrel. You're no wolf. You're a pest. What did you say? I'm no wolf. How dare you? How dare I? I have proved my colors. I have bared my fangs against countless enemies since I was knee-high to my blade. I have proven myself on the field of battle time and time again, slaughtering foes twice your size and cunning. And you think you have the right to say I dare? Oh, I do far more than dare, little pup. As far as I'm concerned, you should heed your master and leave me be. Master, the one who is about to strike at me. The blonde with her hand on the rapier. You didn't think I'd notice. That's such a cliché. Please. If you try and strike me, I warn you, I won't hesitate. Despite how beautiful you may appear, you carry yourself as a warrior, which means you'd at least be a worthy challenge, unlike the pale creatures I've had to face up till now. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must cleanse my armor of this filth. Filth? What do you mean by filth? How many times must I say this? Do you not see the stains? That's when they take a closer look, noticing the blood and that smell. Wait, you fought the minotaur? Fought it. I killed it. It was quite simple, too. Much to my disappointment. Disappointment? Very. It was no challenge. It was only a wild animal using its instincts to try and attack. Anyone with half a brain would be able to figure out how to strike it. Hell, even one who has been lobotomized could probably figure out a way to counter it. But instead, all I had to deal with was weakness. Maybe in a group they might be more interesting, but their blood is so foul. Ugh. Oh well, at least it's not like it was in the old days. I can actually go and get this cleaned properly. What's your name? And can you please take your sword away from our friend? Another male in the rear of the group states. As long as he promises not to try and touch me again. Fine. Good. See, you can be a good dog when you want to be. I'm gonna fucking kill you. Bring it on. Bell says, emanating a dark aura around him, as his eyes begin to flare red and shine a bright crimson through his helm. As some of the others take a back step upon seeing this. What's the matter? Are you scared? Come on. You said you'd want to fight me. Then fight me. That's what I thought. A pup. Not even knowing how to bare his fangs properly. You're no wolf. But maybe in time you'll grow into something that's a semblance of one. So you killed the minotaur, the blonde-haired woman says. Yes. And to be honest, it was quite boring, as I stated before. From the tales my people told, I thought it would be more of a challenge, more exhilarating, but instead it just brought me pain. Pain to see something so much potential fail to live up to its hype. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go get cleaned up. As he begins to walk away. What's your name? Why do you wish to know it? I'm curious. I've never seen you here before, which means you're a new adventurer, correct? Yes, I'm fairly new. What of it? It's very rare for new adventurers to kill a minotaur with as much ease as you've said. If I may ask, what familia are you a part of? Ah, I belong to the familia of Hestia. As all of them somewhat look at him in shock. As the man with wolf features begins to laugh loudly. You mean that, pathetic goddess? You claimed I'm not a wolf, but how can you, sir? As upon him saying that, a loud crash can be heard, as Bell has flipped his sword back around into an offensive position, and has lunged, cracking the rocks underneath his feet. The only thing stopping his blade from piercing the heart of that man would be the blonde woman, who was just barely able to guard his attack, coming at from the side and deflecting the blow, causing the blades to cross and come into a lock. As each one of them have a blade pointed at each other's necks. Or rather, I should say, have a blade resting at each other's throats. As Belle looks into her eyes, them glowing ablaze with bright crimson. Tell your mutt, if he ever insults my comrades again, then he will not have the privilege of hiding behind your skirt, and that I will skin him and wear him for a pelt. Why don't you tell me yourself, you little shit? As he suddenly gets hit from the back of the head by one of his other party members. I apologize for his rudeness. Please, we can end this without bloodshed. As Belle just growls in indifference and pulls away from the blade lock, allowing her sword to, well, touch, or rather I should say, scrape against the mail that covers his throat. As she has a seeming look of surprise as the blade brushes against it. Next time, go for a spot that is unarmored. Otherwise, you would have lost this little spar of ours, he says, looking at her deep in her eyes. He then walks away. As they all look, saying, what the hell would happen? There. I don't know. But his armor is strong. Very strong. What do you mean? My blade should have carved through it. I was scared that I was going to hurt him whenever he suddenly released the guard. It should have cut his throat, but instead it barely nicked the armor. That is strange. Wasn't your sword made by one of the followers of Hephaestus? Yes. Who is this man? As Belle walks out. and turns in his, well, winnings, as the keeper is a bit surprised seeing a minotaur gem in there, but then again thinking about him and how much blood he's covered in, as well as seeing those piercing, glowing red eyes from underneath the armor, yeah, no questions were asked. Needless to say, he could be intimidating as hell. And so, he gladly walks away with his earnings, straight back to Hestia, where he turns in his share, and, well, where he turns in and what he is owed for being his patron, and he keeps his, as he sees that she's getting ready for a night on the town. "Where are you going, Hestia?" "Is that any way to address me?" she says in a coy voice. "My apologies, my goddess. Where are you going this evening, my lady?" he says in a joking tone. "Well, if you must know, there's a party for the gods being held, and I don't want to be late." "Very well, I shall tend to my own affairs." "You know, Belle, if I could, I'd let you join with me." "It is quite all right, my lady. After all, I am but a simple man. No need to hold me up to such an esteemed rank." "You are something, you know that?" "Always, my lady, always." "By the way, what happened earlier?" "What do you mean?" "Your eyes. They're radiating a red hue." "Oh dear. My father always did warn me of that." Ugh. As he blinks a few times and they return back to normal, as he removes his helm and lets his hair flow. Sorry. I got quite irritated earlier." "Oh? By what?" "Some moronic simpleton with false canine-like features tried to insult you. I had to put the pup in his place." "False canine-like features?" "Yes, he possessed a wolf-like tail and ears, and even had modifications done extending his teeth and nails. We had a similar set of people where I'm from. Granted, they never modified themselves to that extent, but still." Uh, no, that's a race of people here." I thought they were just modifiers." "So that's natural to them, huh?" "Yes. Belle, did you really think they were just
"People who cosmetically attach things to themselves?" Yes, I did."
Huh. You sound like you come from a strange place."
"Yes. By your standards it would be quite strange."
"Oh? You don't talk about it much. Would you mind telling me more?"
According to the lore of our land, about 100 years prior to my birth, the earth shook in a great, immense, shift, as several land masses collided together, causing rivers of lava to spew from the earth, to spew from its hide, cracking the armor of the world, connecting land masses that should have stayed separate for years, if not centuries more. However, that did not stop it. That just seemed to encourage it to do more. As with that great shake, came even greater wars. For a lot of people died during that fight of survival. And in doing so, most of them being civilians. Farmers, sellers, merchants, doctors. All of them died across the world that day. Well, not all, but quite a few. And so, we fought for whatever resources we could get our hands on. We rummaged through the remains like a pack does when another one invades its home. And that's when the war started. Over territory, small disputes began to come into play as Vikings and knights struck at each other. However, that was just the beginning. For as we pushed harder into Viking lands, trying to claim more resources, they struck off into the sea and came across the samurai. And the samurai struck back, indiscriminately attacking both knight and Viking, thinking us all the same. And so it became a three-part war, where we would fight over and over, hundreds of battles, trying to claim each other's territories, trying to claim each other's lands, trying to rip each other apart and down, just so we could climb on the top of the corpses that were left. Eventually, the knights won out. My clan. We of, well, my mother and father met on the field of battle. My mother was the general of our forces. My father was a newly appointed warden. She became smitten with his abilities and prowess and confidence. He was able to strike many a foe down, and he kept her honest, so to speak. What do you mean, so to speak? My mother is ruthless and relentless. She is like a true pack mother of a wolf den. She'll spare you if she thinks she can get something of worth out of you. But she'll slaughter you if she thinks that you're nothing more than a hindrance. My father, he changed her a bit. Made her slightly softer, but also honed her edge. They made a good pair. You sound like you missed them. Quite a bit. But that's neither here nor there, my lady. You have a party to get to. And meanwhile, I have some armor to clean. I hope you have a blessed night. As he walks over and kisses her on the forehead. For I know I shall. As she begins to blush a fateful crimson and, well, stammers before walking out of the room and house. The plan is coming together. And that, my friends, is where I'll be ending off this episode. Hope you enjoyed. Bye for now.